Tonight, state funeral. A date, time, and location has been set for the funeral of the late Obadiah Wilshcombe, the former cabinet minister to be laid to rest in his community of West End. Plus, big shoes to fill. Residents on Grand Bahama are now weighing in on who could possibly replace the West Grand Bahama MP. And later, for the first time, Junkanooers will have to undergo a new screening process before the road to Bay. We'll tell you why. And then in our news at 7:30, part 2 of an exclusive interview. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie continues to weigh in on the legacy of the late Obie Wilshcombe. These stories and more as our news live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to our news live at 7. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard sitting in for Kendino Knowles. The state funeral of Social Services and Broadcasting and Information Minister Obie Wilshcombe will be held on October 13th at 11 a.m. It will be held at the Pro-Cathedral of Christ the King in Grand Bahama. We spoke to Pro-Cathedral of Christ the King Rector, Canon Norman Lightbourne, who says they're already preparing for the historic service.
What we are hoping to do is the overflow is to accommodate them, that is, in the parish hall, which is just next to this church. And so the hundreds of persons that may not be able to be seated in this sanctuary per se, we will provide seating for them in the parish hall.
Lightbourne says Christ the King is Wilshcombe's home church, which makes it all the more fitting for his funeral service to be held there. He recalls the last funeral service Wilshcombe attended at that church.
Whenever he was in Christ the King, we were able to speak, of course, about his past times in Christ the King, meaning his days when he grew up into this parish. This was his spiritual home, and he held this place closely to his heart. Although Christ the King was not a part of his constituency, Christ the King was his spiritual home.
Now, Wilshcombe's body was transported under police escort from the morgue to Cedar Crest Funeral Home this afternoon. He was flown to New Providence Monday, hours after he died in Grand Bahama. Family members confirmed to a local daily an autopsy report has been completed. However, his exact cause of death is still unknown. Cedar Crest is where Wilshcombe's body will remain until he lies in state in the House of Assembly and then flown to Grand Bahama for his state funeral. That's where he will take his final resting place. The loss of the West Grand Bahama and Bimini MP means a by-election looms. Tonight, 2 former MPs who served in Parliament with Wilshcombe say the one who follows will have some big shoes to fill. Berthany McDermott has the story.
It has to be someone who shows a great appreciation for the past, that understands the dynamics of Family Island politics, that understands the dynamics of governance.
Following the death of West Grand Bahama and Bimini MP Obie Wilshcombe, Prime Minister Philip Davis will have to call a by-election within the next few weeks. Our News understands both the Free National Movement and the Progressive Liberal Party have already started looking for potential candidates. Former Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Dr. Daniel Johnson says by-elections aren't easy.
I think the decorum that Wilshcombe represented, and I'm stuck on this word for us, decorum in the public sphere. We want representation that speaks to our dreams and aspirations as people. I don't want to be rowing and talking over everybody and who is a thief and who is a sissy. No one cares. What is your dream and how can I help? And can you take this country forward?
Meanwhile, Butler Turner says the next candidates must come prepared to succeed. They both say they were shocked and saddened by the news of his death. Butler Turner says while they were on opposite sides of the political divide, he was always respectful.
I'd known Minister Wilshcombe for many years prior to that, and I said a story earlier, you know, even though I did not support the PLP, I remember many years ago, he asked me to speak to the PLP convention. So he was a person that tried to unify and tried to work with others and tried to also understand our differences.
Meanwhile, Johnson, who served in the Christie-led cabinet with Wilchcombe, said they both worked as one.
This thing is when you get into public, what are we going to portray on behalf of the Bahamas? His thing was the Bahamas. Election finished now. We are to serve the Bahamas. And his thing was service above self and the country first.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks so much, Berthany. Meantime, a man is behind bars after being accused of molesting his younger sisters. Prosecutors say the 23-year-old man sexually abused his sisters, ages 6 and 9, on September 23rd. The man's name has been withheld to protect the identities of the minor victims. The brother was not required to enter pleas to charges of incest when he appeared before senior magistrate Carolyn Vo-Evans. Bail was denied and he returns to court in January to receive voluntary bill of indictment papers. Well, it's now time for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg.
Thanks, Megan, and a happy Thursday evening, everybody. Still have some cloudy conditions outside our studios right now. 85 degrees is our current temperature. Your winds are out of the east at 9 miles per hour, and it still feels rather warm. Feels like temperature is at 93. Temperatures around the islands tonight right now, it's 81 in Freeport, 83 over in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Pick up 84 in Alistown, Bimini. Great Harbor Key, Nicholstown, Andros. You guys are 85, 84 in Governor's Harbor. Central Bahamas, 84s in Kemps Bay, Georgetown, Deadman's Key, and in Copen Town, San Salvador. Artistown, Cat Island, 83. And into the southeast Bahamas, 85. Duncantown, Ragged Island. Pick up a few more 84s in Colonel Hill, Cricket Island. You guys have some showers nearby. Delectable Bay, Acklands, 84. 83 in Abrahams Bay. Providenciales, 85. And deep south, Matthew Town, where you round out our temperature profile at 86. Satellite showing that moisture plume still continuing across us. Some of that moisture is thinning out, but there's a frontal boundary across central Florida. It's a stationary front right now. It's going to slowly drift towards the south, but it will be pooling some moisture across our area. So we will continue to look for some cloudy conditions, mainly across the northwest Bahamas, central and southeast Bahamas. Pretty nice high pressure dominating that area. And of course, we are watching Philippe out there. Philippe is getting rather close, but it is expected to make that turn towards the northwest, which we anticipated early part of the week. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, an uptick in health-related issues on Bay, prompting health screenings for Junkanooers. Plus, Royal Caribbean International looking to finalize Bahamian vendors for their new 17-acre property. And later, making our coastlines more resilient. Those details in tonight's Sustainability First report, coming up when Our News returns.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Officials from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, along with officials from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and the National Junkanoo Committee, joining forces to conduct mass health screenings of those participating in Junkanoo parades this year. Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Timothy Munning, says the screenings will aim to achieve several goals.
Promote health awareness by encouraging Junkanoo participants to be cognizant of and monitor their vital health statistics. We empower them to take charge of their well-being. Prevent untimely emergencies. Early identification of potential health issues will significantly reduce the risk of untimely health emergencies during parades, ensuring a safer and more enjoyable experience for all. Expand our health database. This initiative will enable us to collect invaluable health data, particularly among the male participants, which will inform the development of future health policies and interventions.
Munnings also shared they've seen an uptick in health-related accidents during recent parades.
In recent years, we've sadly witnessed the loss of at least one festival participant during the parade, with several near cases reported. Each life lost is a profound tragedy, and it is our collective responsibility to take proactive measures to ensure the safety and health of those who contribute to the beauty and festivity of Junkanoo.
Royal Caribbean International continuing its series of workshops for potential vendors for the Royal Beach Club project. The challenge now is narrowing down the number of Bahamian vendors chosen to work on the 17-acre property. Jamila Mizik reports.
It is considered a golden opportunity for many Bahamian businesses to have a piece of the pie in the Royal Beach Club project. President Philip Simon says the series of workshops allow RCI to tap into the creativity of Bahamians, adding that the hope is to provide a unique and authentically Bahamian experience to their guests.
We have the equity model, 49%, up to 49% Bahamian, 51% Royal Caribbean. Again, we're exposing every single aspect of the business to Bahamians.
These potential vendors say they're pleased with RCI's room for collaboration.
We've been able to express our vision of what it means to be Bahamian and what Bahamian culture is, rather than having an outside entity dictate that to us.
It's going to be a lot of Bahamian-owned business that we actually going to be our own bosses. We're going to be able to have shares in the company. So I think all of that, all in all, the Bahamians is a win-win for us.
Foot and ankle surgeon and potential vendor Dr. Kenneth Kemp says he hopes to offer a walk-in paradise for future guests.
Being able to allow their visitors to take this unique experience from the Royal Beach Club back home and keep those memories with them. And so I'm working with them to provide orthopedic sandals that are branded with the Royal Beach Club logo.
Now Simon says more workshops and meetings with Bahamian businesses will continue as part of an ambitious timeline toward the summer 2025 opening date.
We hope to complete the environmental process, obtain our CEC, and then move towards kind of phase one of the project, which would be we get our architectural documents, we get ready for phase one site prep.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlights to stories making headlines across the world as the impeachment hearing for the United States President gets underway. Plus, the Speaker of Canada's House of Commons lower chamber has resigned. We'll tell you why. And from the Reason, Dominica has elected its first ever woman head of state. We have the details when Our News continues.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. House Republicans held their first impeachment hearing today to start publicly making their case after struggling for months to tie President Joe Biden to his son's foreign business dealings and to corral support inside the GOP conference for impeachment. In its first hour, the impeachment hearing by the Republican-led House of Representatives Oversight Committee did not reveal new information about Biden's financial ties to his troubled son, Hunter Biden. The Speaker of Canada's House of Commons lower chamber has resigned a few days after he publicly praised a former Nazi soldier in Parliament in an incident that Russia said helped justify its war in Ukraine. Anthony Rota told legislators he had made a mistake by inviting the ex-soldier.
I reiterate my profound regret for my error in recognizing an individual in the House during the joint address to Parliament of President Zelensky. That public recognition has caused pain to individuals and communities, including the Jewish community in Canada and around the world, in addition to survivors of Nazi atrocities in Poland, among other nations. I accept full responsibility for my actions.
Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Alfred Mutau, said the country was ready to lead a multinational force to help quell gang violence in Haiti. He spoke to the media saying that once the United Nations formally backs his secretary support mission, Kenya and other countries will send police officers to Haiti.
we decided we are going to go and help Haiti to lead a multinational police mission with other countries. We were in New York and other countries are coming on board. We've got other African nations that are coming on board. We've got other nations from all the world. They're saying, if Kenya is leading it, we think there's going to be success. So they're coming on board. We are going to have a UN resolution, which will give the mandate for Kenya and other governments to be able to send their police forces to go and police and help stabilize Haiti.
Dominica Wednesday elected its first ever woman head of state. By a margin of 20-5, Dominican lawmakers voted in support of 58-year-old Sylvanie Burton. She will be sworn in on October 2nd. But the victory was overshadowed by an attempt by opposition legislator Sean Douglas, who questioned whether Burton had in fact met the requirements under the Dominica Constitution to be nominated, claiming that she was still employed as a senior public servant. We've all experienced the difficulty of driving through coastal areas after extreme weather. Now, the Integrated Coastal Zone Management Program is hoping to make our coastal areas more resilient. In today's Sustainability First report, our Marlena Leonard has the details.
Bahamas First, putting sustainability first for our people and our environment. What's first for you and the planet comes first for us.
The Integrated Coastal Zone Management Program, also known as ITZM Bahamas, hopes to improve our coastal resilience, infrastructure, and maintenance.
Whether that's gray infrastructure where you have your traditional seawalls and your revetments, or we're looking at more natural or what we call green infrastructure, so using plants such as mangroves or sand nourishment, things like that to help stabilize our coastal zone.
One of their pilot programs is happening at Junkanoo Beach, but the program goes beyond the capital. Its $35 million budget will be spread across pilot programs on multiple family islands.
We have 4 sites in Andres, so one in the north in Low Sound, one in the central Stafford Creek, we have one in the south at the Bluff Regatta site, and Mangrove Key, Burnt Rock.
Brown hopes ITZM Bahamas will help to lessen the impacts of increasing environmental challenges. Reporting for Our News and reminding you to put sustainability first, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Still to come in Our News, today in history. Find out interesting facts about the day that was September 28th. And then in Our News at 7:30, residents and government officials continue to share their thoughts on the passing of Obi Wilshcombe and the way forward. Plus, in Our News at 7:30, Dragon Boat Racing is back. The Our News team is also back in the water, and this year we're going for gold. That's coming up when Our News continues.
Favorite Bahamian artist of all time? I'll give you some time to think with it.
The greatest Bahamian song was recorded by the beginning of the end, Funky Nassau.
We're in a day and age where things can be different and still be authentically Bahamian because it's the Bahamian people bringing it to you.
Junkanoo was like the heart and soul of the Bahamian culture.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We've invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
50 years of celebrating the small country that continues to do big things. This year at Character Day, we celebrate people that have love for our country. Like those eco-warriors, like those that provide care, like those that inspire. In this year of our Golden Jubilee, help us celebrate 50 people like these. Log on to characterdaybahamas.org to nominate your Bahamian hidden hero.
Huawei is a global leader company in ICT and telecommunication solutions. We have been cooperating with Alive for a couple of years now, and we're really excited on being part of the Ultimate Business Makeover campaign from Alive businesses and our corporate partners, as this gives us the opportunity to also participate with other corporate partners in the Bahamas and for the community to experience green technologies and make it more sustainable for the environment.
Grand Bahama Port Authority and Quest directly aligns with our commitment to ensure that our students are qualified in the area of IT, computer information systems, and entrepreneurship as Grand Bahama transitions into a tech hub.
The first cohort of the Tech Edge program will consist of 50 candidates. The program will run for 8 to 12 weeks, and it will consist of 3 tracks: cybersecurity, cloud computing, and mobile app development. The program is hybrid. Most of the courses will take place online, and there will be 1 session per week at the Susan J. Wallace Community Center. Applications are open to all Bahamians with a high school diploma over the age of 18. Though a technical degree, certification, or background may help with your application, we encourage all Bahamians with the aptitude and attitude to apply for the program.
Welcome back. It's now time to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was September 28th. Let's take a look. On this day in Bahamian history, on September 28, 2012, former Attorney General Paul Adderley died. Adderley was one of the longest-serving Attorney Generals. He also held a number of ministerial posts in the Pinling administration and was considered one of the most brilliant legal minds in the country, as one of the framers of the Bahamas Constitution. His state funeral taking place at Christ Church Cathedral.
Paul Adderley was a patriot for whom no task was too demanding.
Also that year, former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram was on the defense about the 52-week jobs program.
The same people who worked for me when I was Minister of Finance and Prime Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Debbie Bastian and those, are the same people who will be working for Mr. Christie. So they would be able to tell him what it is that they did or didn't do in terms of who they put on the job, who they paid, where they were supposed to be working, and the circumstances. The program exceeded expectation. We initially determined we'd have a $25 million program. The demand was so great that we agreed that we'd extend it and increase the number of persons. And we'd make provisions to pay them in the budget for 2012-2013.
And in 2018, a Supreme Court order was handed out preventing the media and public from discussing the bribery case of former PLP Cabinet Minister Shane Gibson. Now to watch that historical recap again and for all of today's top stories, be sure to visit ournews.bs. That does it for Our News Live at 7. Joining us now is our Italia Hall with the latest headlines. Italia.
Yes, Megan Mo, former Prime Minister Perry Christie reveals how he thinks the late Obi Woolscombe should be honored. And dragon boat racing is set to make a major splash this weekend. Here are your latest headlines. A lasting legacy, first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. People in Grand Bahama and Bimini say the former Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister Obi Woolscombe legacy should live on.
No, Obi is in a better place, and he would want us to continue on and believe in the people.
This is former Prime Minister Perry Christie says he and Woolscombe worked hand in hand to advance the country's tourism product. Also, the PLP chairman promising West Grand Bahama and Bimini residents a fit and proper candidate to represent the area. And the new Nassau cruise port providing training opportunities to help develop small business owners when Our News Live at 7:30 returns.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Favorite Bahamian artist of all time? I'll give you some time to think with it.
The greatest Bahamian song was recorded by the beginning of the end, Funky Nassau.
We're in a day and age where things can be different and still be authentically Bahamian because it's the Bahamian people bringing it to you.
Junkanoo was like the heart and soul of the Bahamian culture.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station, open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Atalia Hall. While the sudden passing of Minister Obi Wilchcombe is still shocking for many across the country, the State Funeral of Social Services Information and Broadcasting Minister Obi Wilchcombe is set for 11 a.m. on October 13th at the Pro-Cathedral of Christ the King in Grand Bahama. Our news speaking with Pro-Cathedral of Christ the King Rector Canon Norman Lightbourne, who says they're already preparing for the historic service. This as for only the third time in the country's 50 years of independence, a sitting minister passes away. While residents of Grand Bahama and Bimini are broken as they wrap their minds around his sudden death, these Grand Bahamians say Wilchcombe has contributed greatly to his constituency, so government should make it a point to ensure that his legacy lives on.
You can name the school or whatever, but something should be named in his honor because he has served the Bahamas very well. And he's been around, and he's a veteran, and he's been around a long time.
I feel like we should probably name a street after him, and a monument will be a good idea.
While resident Meredith Stubbs Henfield says it was Wilchcombe who gave her an opportunity at a very young age, while resident Simeon Robinson says his passing was surprising.
I feel that either the school or even the new courthouse that they built down in the government complex in 8 Mile Rock should be named after Obi Wilchcombe.
For a person, I think, who ran in the Western and Bimini area for 5 terms and only lost 1, that speaks volume. And that new school, what they building up in 8 Mile Rock, I think it's fitting that they should name that Obi Wilchcombe Junior High.
While one of the people who knew Wilchcombe best is speaking about his legacy. In part 2 of my exclusive interview with former Prime Minister Perry Christie, he describes Wilchcombe as more than a friend and a colleague, but a nation builder.
Who I always thought would pay a tribute to me when I passed. Okay, and I'm sitting here paying a tribute to him, who was significantly younger than me.
Former Prime Minister Perry Christie was in complete shock when he learned that Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister Obi Wilchcombe had passed away suddenly. Christie says he and Wilchcombe shared some important moments in life, and he manifested loyalty in extraordinary ways. As the minister responsible for investments, Christie says he and the then Tourism Minister Wilchcombe had to work closely together.
When we were developing Baker's Bay, okay, in Abaco, we had to develop a deep understanding of the need and the kind of promotions that should be taking place.
And after winning the 2012 elections, they focused on resurrecting Freeport.
We brought in a company called Sunwing from Canada, the largest tour company in Canada, a subsidiary of one of the world's largest companies, TUI in Germany, and they had their own 737s.
The former Prime Minister sharing that Wilchcombe believed that the country was too New Providence-centric.
I suspect that he had developed a strong feeling of the need to improve conditions in the islands through his being chairman of the PLP for a period and traveling with some regularity throughout our islands.
He also played a major role in developing religious and sports tourism.
When you go to our hotels today and you see the sporting stars, you see that they come here and they go to the Bahama, they go to Atlantis. That's because we brought out the basketball players to the Crystal Palace.
Christie believes that Wilchcombe should be remembered by government in an effective and meaningful way in Western Grand Bahama.
So that when young people see whatever is done for him and they ask, who was Obi Wilchcombe? Someone would be able to say, he was a great contributor to the well-being of our country.
While PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell promising West Grand Bahama and Bimini residents a fit and proper person to represent the area, it comes as a by-election looms in the wake of the area MP Obi Wolchcombe's death.
We promise the people of West Grand Bahama and Bimini to send you another fit and proper person to represent the PLP in the House of Assembly, so that God will bless you, bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Mitchell, who served with Wolchcombe for many years, reflecting on the last conversation he had with his fallen colleague.
In the last chat we had, sitting next to each other, they called out his formal name, and he said to me, "There's some stuff, eh? All my life I fought to be called Obi, to get now being called Obadiah. I've been trying to get rid of that name for so long." Anyway, we had a good laugh at it, and that was how it was with us. The privacy and intimacy of a long history of struggle in and out and through the progressive cause, for better, for worse, richer, for poorer, sickness and in health, and now death has parted us. It is simply strange and unreal.
All right, well, we have much more to get to in a moment, but for now, meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us from the Weather Center with a first look at weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Dahlia, and welcome everybody for a quick check on conditions around the islands and outside our studios. 85 degrees is our current temperature under partly cloudy skies. Your winds out of the east at 9 miles per hour, and your field slag temperature is at 93. Satellite and radar composite showing that plume of moisture still streaking across us, mostly the northwest Bahamas. Showers and thunderstorms associated with that will continue to be the name of the game tonight through tomorrow and possibly even into the weekend. There is a frontal boundary across central Florida that will continue to pull that moisture across the area, so look for some more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast throughout that period. That's a quick check on conditions around the island. Stick with us, so look at your extended forecast and the tropics still to come.
Still to come on our news, small business owners receiving a training opportunity spearheaded by the Nassau Cruise Port. Our Megan Shepherd has the full story, plus two cultures coming together. This as the Bahamas Chinese Dragon Association prepares to host their second annual Dragon Boat Weekend.
I get it. You can order stuff on wimauto.com and pay for it online.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Online is just the first step.
They have next weekday delivery in Nassau, Monday to Friday.
What about
Doctors Hospital's reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station, open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Collect verse access is as easy as grab a collect, scan a collect. Open your camera app, focus on the QR code, and click the link that appears. You own your collect verse experience. Take selfies, join the cultural referendum, and share with your friends. See content from local chefs, Olympic athletes, and cultural icons. Collect is proud to be 50. Grab a collect, scan a collect. Get in the collect verse today.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile
The redeveloped Nassau cruise port has been operating in their new multi-million-dollar space since May of this year. While a top executive says the goal is to set this port apart by ensuring everything is authentically Bahamian. Megan Shepard reports.
You know, people have been used to doing things for many, many years in a certain way, and so we have to kind of keep on top of it, and that's the role that we will play to ensure that we stick to that mandate. So our goal is to try to help expand the Bahamian cottage industry in terms of crafts and artisans.
Field says business owners from the previous festival place location were given first preference within the port, and over the past 2 years, they have all undergone training and development to be successful business owners.
We developed a code of conduct. We worked with them on merchandising. We worked with them on budgeting and finance, and we also worked with them on customer service. More importantly, we worked with them on how to fit out their spaces.
The marketplace business owners were also granted a rent for a year within the port, in addition to other assistance.
We granted up to $20,000, not in cash, but in terms of fit out requirement material, equipment, furniture, fixtures, etc. So they were able to just simply move in, and their only cost really was their inventory.
Field says he believes the Nassau cruise port sets itself apart from other ports in the region, as the Bahamas has its culture and authenticity at the forefront.
To be honest with you, the folks who are doing best are those who are authentically Bahamian product. In fact, the ones that are closest to 100% Bahamian, authentically Bahamian, are the ones that are doing best. So our job now is to make sure that people stick with that mandate.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, the waters are expected to be filled with dragon boats this weekend as the Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boats Association prepares to host their second annual event.
We break down the blockbuster trade that sent DeAndre into Portland, and we look at some upgrades to the Sports Center. Don't go anywhere, our sports is coming up next.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having Business in a Box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having Business in a Box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is Our News. Welcome back. A Bahamian basketball star has a new home and renovations are underway at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Ty. Good evening. I'm Tej Adderley with Our Sports. The NBA world was shaken up yesterday when the news broke that a 3-team deal sent DeAndre Ayton to the Portland Trail Blazers. Here's the breakdown. Ayton was sent to the Pacific Northwest yesterday in a huge deal involving 8 players and 3 draft picks, according to NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. Damian Lillard, the centerpiece of the deal, was sent to the Milwaukee Bucks to be paired with superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. The trade uproots Ayton from Arizona, where he played his last 2 years of high school, his lone year of college, and where he spent his 5-year NBA career. Ayton has been highly productive during his time in the NBA, making deep playoff runs, including a finals run in 2021. However, he found himself in feuds with management, his teammate Chris Paul, and his former coach Monty Williams. Upgrades and renovations are underway at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, as well as the Betty Kelly Kenning Complex. Sports Minister Mario Polegs addressed those upgrades yesterday. Our Sasha Lightburn has more.
As the Bahamas get set to host Carifta Swimming in April next year, closely followed by the World Relays in May, renovations are underway at the swim complex and the National Stadium. Sports Minister Mario Polegs says everything will be ready.
There's a lot of work to be done with the split side, and Murtha has been the contractor who will be doing the work. There will be an extension of about 1,500 seats added to the facility to allow fans to come out and support the Bahamian team. But the facility definitely is going to be ready on time.
Now, when asked about the total cost for repairs for both the stadium and the pool,
government itself may not have to spend the monies that were allocated for the repairs of the stadium. In the 2023-24 budget, there has been $10 million allocated by this administration for the improvements of the Queen Elizabeth Sports Center. Definitely, once the Chinese come on board, that expected amount to be reduced, that will be input by the government for the repairs of the stadium.
Reporting for Our Sports, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
And that's all for sports this evening. I'm Tej Adley.
Still ahead on our news tonight, get your boats ready for the water. This as the Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association prepares for its Dragon Boat Weekend at Goodman's Bay. And temperatures are beginning to cool down as we approach the end of the work week. Greg is back with what you can expect when our news returns. Stay with us.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a
Welcome back to our news. Overcast skies and warm weather today, but will there be more rain this week, and how are things looking in the tropics? Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final check of weather. We're taking a look at our water vapor moisture plume coming out of the Western Caribbean across our area, keeping us a little damp or unsettled across the northwest Bahamas. Showers and isolated thunderstorms will be in the forecast. Frontal boundary across central Florida will continue to keep that moisture in place. Also, we have an upper level low that's spinning just south of Hispaniola. That's providing some upper level sharing to Philippe out there. That's why Philippe couldn't get his act together. And we'll continue to move towards the west, eventually west-southwest throughout the remainder of the weekend into the weekend. Then make that sharp turn towards the northwest and head out into the open Atlantic. Behind that, we have newly formed RENA, which formed earlier today. And that system is going to continue to move towards the west, trailing Philippe. And of course, it's trying to get its act together, so we will continue to monitor that one. Far eastern Atlantic, a strong tropical wave coming off of Africa. We will watch that one, but nothing organized with that system as we speak. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Small craft caution is in effect. We also have a high risk for rip currents. The winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 6 feet in northeasterly swells, mainly along Atlantic exposures. High tide is at 7:45 tonight. The low tide taking place at 2:03 tomorrow morning. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, with that moisture plume in place, actually, we will continue to keep showers in the forecast throughout the remainder of the week and into the weekend, and that will hold through the early part of next week as that frontal boundary across south central Florida starts to drift towards us and should get into the northwest Bahamas by that time frame. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night and stay safe, everybody.
All right, thanks so much, Greg. Well, the Dragon boats are on the water again, and things are shaping up for an event-filled weekend. Our Gene Joseph has the story.
The countdown is on for the second annual Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association's Dragon Boat Weekend at Goodman's Bay. With less than a week to go, some 34 local and international teams are making final preparations for a competitive series of races, including first-timers like the Lightfoot Key International School. Despite the event's competitive nature, Dr. Michelle Mindorf says the event allows the school's administration to offer support and impact the wider community.
As an international school, it's very important to support cultural understanding and cultural connectivity. As well as an international baccalaureate school, we value being active.
The title of Ruler of the Water and the opportunity to represent the country in international competition are only trumped by a year of bragging rights for the victors. Royal Bahamas Defense Force Training Commander Valentino Roll looks forward to continuing their timeless rivalry with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. He says his team is ready to handle business and show who is master of the water.
I understand that after last year's competition that the police won, and they actually sent for the Defense Force, so they need some competition. So we are going to show the police this year who's the king of the water. This year, the Defense Force will emerge as champions.
A group of young volunteers from the inaugural event decided to join this year's competition and race as the Komodo Dragons. Helmsman Ajay Kulmer and his team have plans to sweep the competition.
It was a big transition. Some of the paddling is a very hard task, but we come to win it all. We come to go big or go home.
Association President Dr. Christine Chin says there will be a variety of events other than the races, and the best part is you can enjoy it all with no admission fee.
So we have the same kind of entertainment. We have Stilit, who's coming out to perform for us, and the Urban Renewal Band and some other artists. The cost is free for the public to come out to attend and enjoy the day and cheer on their favorite team.
Enjoy a taste of Chinese culture with some Junkanoo sprinkled in for good measure, and support this annual breast cancer initiative while you enjoy the races. Reporting for Our News, I'm Gene Joseph.
All right, thanks so much, Gene. Looks so exciting. And of course, to see that story again, you can visit ournews.bs. And with that, we thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening. On the Record with Jerome Sawyer starts now.